Hello everybody, it's MicheleMarieDalene, and today we're going to have a little discussion. As you may know, we have had a lot of different topics on the homelessness for a few years now, and I wanted to try to kind of touch base with a few matters. The homeless population problem is being discussed right now, currently in Fox News on a series of segments on the West Coast. And one of the biggest things is they keep wondering if it's the homeless' fault, if it's the city's fault, or if it's both fault. The last one is not exactly the most popular answer or hypothesis, but I'm going to talk about this and explain my opinion on the different things. In many cities, the homeless population are, the sun is really bright, are really seriously suffering. It is not uncommon, for example, to see a homeless person lose everything because the city has turned homelessness into a criminal offense. Now, there's a couple problems, first of all, with turning it into a criminal offense that affect the homeless and the non-homeless. For example, many cities have removed park benches. There's no places to sit. And if you happen to have mobility issues, like I do, there's no place to sit when your legs get tired. And you can't sit down on the ground, because you could potentially be mistakenly accused of being a homeless person or a vagrant. Even if you're just trying to rest your leg because of I have an injury in my left leg. So, obviously, those people who are not homeless need to carry papers to show that they're not homeless in those situations. Or they could still be stuck with a hefty fine. That kind of sucks. Alright? Number 2, trash. We all know that the homeless people, like everybody else, generates trash. It's not an option. It's not a luxury, it's just a fact of life. And trash also includes excrement. So, it's the excrement particularly that grosses everybody out for reasons that are very, very understandable. Why excrement grosses out people. Number 1, human waste is far from sterile. It contains a lot of pathogens and things that are not good for people to be around. It smells bad. It looks bad. But in many of these cities, they have ordinances that require, for example, you to pick up your dog's waste. But obviously, the idea is you pick up your dog's waste, you bring it home, and you throw it away. Well, if you're homeless, where do you throw it? It's one of those areas that just to me just kind of like borders on there's part of a disconnect here. In most cities, the number of available trash receptacles in some areas, including Winsted, is very few. You can not always find a garbage can, a public municipal garbage can, when you need it. In the larger cities, it's even bigger reason is that the city doesn't want to be responsible to pick up bags of garbage from garbage cans. So they basically say as a cost measure, we're going to reduce the number of garbage cans in the city. This because it's cheaper, less garbage to haul out. But at the same time, you guys are getting upset because of trash and litter and poop and pee. But if people have no place to throw their waste, we're already supposed to throw it. Okay? That doesn't make any sense. I remember a couple years ago, I think it was about 2004, 2005, we had the Homeless Summit in Torrington. And me and Ed managed to reach out to, at the time, Mayor Ryan Bingham. And we discussed this with the local shelter called Fish about the situation, the homeless population in Torrington, which was growing, and it's still growing today. The difference is under Mayor Bingham, because he was willing to talk to people and get the answers and say, wait a minute, how can we solve this? What can we do for the right now? There are things that were big issues. It couldn't come up with all the answers in one meeting, but they did say that they would continue to try to make some dialogue. So let's kind of recommend to all these socialist cities that you do something similar in steps. Number one, if you want to get rid of dirty needles off the street and poop and pee or wrappers from food containers, you're going to have to give a person who's homeless a place to throw away in a responsible way the refuse. Okay? It's that simple. If you don't give them a place to throw their refuse, they're going to throw it wherever they can get rid of it. I'm sure they don't want to sit near dirty needles and poop and pee and old pizza boxes and everything else any more than anyone else does. But if you take away all the garbage cans because you're trying to save money, even for the non-homeless, it's always good to have a garbage can, especially for a city of pedestrians. In Winstead, for example, we used to have garbage cans a lot in downtown Main Street, so that if you're eating an ice cream cone or you're drinking a soda from McDonald's, you could throw away your empty soda cup. In my building here, before we put a garbage can downstairs, we had the same identical problem. That is, there was no garbage can, so everybody said, fuck it, I'll just throw the wrapper right here on the floor. The minute we brought down an inexpensive garbage can, put it in the hallway, the garbage dropped by a factor of 75%. Just because now people knew there was a trash receptacle right there and it would be emptied every so often. It solved one problem. No wrappers, no envelopes, no junk mail piling up, waiting for somebody to pick it up and throw it in the garbage. No empty soda containers, no empty food boxes. I know that cities like to save money, but this is not where you save money by cutting the availability of refuse containers. Now, on the issue of ordinances for poop and pee, you guys can need to work together, the homeless and the cities alike. There's no reason why you can't. There's homeless people, first of all, do not appreciate having to shit on the street any more than you want them to. But the problem is, and some of it's valid, the people who own restaurants and stores in town don't want them using their bathrooms because of issues of drugs, drug issues, drug use. That's a real issue. So, if the poor person is going to end up having to poop and pee in the street, they need to pick up their poop and their pee, and they need an appropriate place to dispose of it. And however you and the city wants to do it. The point is, most homeless people do care enough to want to keep their area clean. Okay? Now, they need something too from you. They need something very important. And this showed up in the story from Portland, Oregon. Homeless people go into the hospitals, sometimes seeking assistance. The hospitals, realizing they do not have insurance, they do not have money to pay for treatment, basically says to them to move on or they'll be arrested. All of a sudden, jail cells became homeless shelters. Because that was the only place where that the homeless could get 3 squares and a place to sleep that wasn't asphalt. Why is that acceptable? It's not. Why do homeless people have to live like that? If a person is coming into the hospital and they really do want legitimate medical care, they should be able to acquire it. But considering that even in the article points out, it's the homeless, a lot of them have a lot of mental concerns and issues that need to be addressed. Ignoring their condition, for example, is not going to make their condition go away. Alright? That's a fact. It's not going to make it go away. So, because of that reason, we need to reevaluate that. Landlords, yes, and low-income housing. I'm going to talk about this next because this is another thing. Landlords do not want to rent to the homeless, the drug users, the riffraff, for a lot of reasons. And I want to see you come with them. Seizure of civil assets, forfeiture, is a big one. 2, property damage, another big one. Property disturbances, such as noise, parties, trash, is also a concern. Being around potential children that not knowing if these people are on the convicted sex offenders list is another concern. So what the landlords do is to help to offset the damage and everything else is they increase their rents above the fair market value. But that's a very interesting term, because what is fair market value? What's being fair? Well, theoretically speaking, being fair is what is mutually agreed on by the 2 or more people. That's being fair. You know, it sounds kind of like trying to chase a black cat in a dark alley, but the truth is that's exactly what the word fair means. So the landlord, let's say the city says, well, for our economic area, we consider a rent for a single-bedroom apartment should be about $700 a month. So the landlord says, yeah, but everybody can afford $700 a month. I'm going to go for $900. Because then I know that the welfare bums can't rent. Because, well, they can't rent $700 either. So you're going to charge $900, and all of a sudden the only people who are going to be afforded, as far as you, the landlord, is concerned, are those who have good paying jobs. But depending on your neighborhood, depending on the building you're in, you may never even find a renter for $900 a month. Take my building, for example. The poor place needs repair. It really, really needs work. Okay? To charge for a single bedroom apartment $900 a month in this building for a landlord would be suicide. He would never get a rental. Okay? Because unless people are really desperate and it's a landlord's market and there's not enough rentals out there and people are desperate, then they might rent it for $900. But how long are they going to stay here is debatable. Another reason why rent goes up, of course, is taxes go up. And taxes go up, insurance goes up. And that results in, simply enough, people going, gee, it doesn't matter if it's because of insurance, taxes, property, whatever. I can't afford it. I don't have a place to go. I won't have a place to live. Okay? Because I have no money. Now that's another thing. There are working homeless. Those people, which there is some, I don't know how the percentage is. I don't think it's really a major issue. I don't think it's a major number, but I'm just going to hazard a guess, maybe 10%, that they're working homeless. Now what the working homeless have to do is, of course, they have paperwork they have to worry about, like their birth certificate, social security card, Medicare card, driver's license, if they could drive a car. However, how often do you carry your birth certificate on you? Not much. You probably left it at your tent site. But that's another thing that is constantly being destroyed by the cities, or tent sites. They bulldoze them down. They do this in Winston, do this in Torrington. They get the bulldozer and they bull down campsite. They sometimes warn you. They usually give you a warning. But it's not the city that's your biggest threat. It's other homeless and other people that are doing this vandalism without your awareness. That is when the trouble sits. So in this case, you lose your visa, you lose your birth certificate, you lose your state ID card, you lose your food stamp card, you lose everything. Now you have nothing to show that you're even an American citizen. Of course, maybe you got fingerprints, but, and I say maybe, most people do, but there's a couple people that do not have fingerprints. I have fingerprints. But, so they might be able to match you up in the FBI database. Obviously, if you were convicted for something, you can bet they will. But the problem is that an employer under the requirements for work under ICE and other things have to show that you are an American citizen or you are a legal alien that have a work visa to work in this country. If you don't have proof of either one, you can't get the job. Okay? Another thing that employers are concerned about is that since if you're homeless and if you do manage to get one manager to at least talk to you, as the one manager is going to say, how are you going to take a shower? How are you going to come in with clean clothes every day? Where do I mail you your W-2s? That's a great question, and the sad truth is that's another thing that sabotages the homeless is how do you get your mail? Many cities do not want to deal with general delivery. And if you don't have your ID because someone bulldozed down your campsite, you have nothing to show at the post office to pick up your mail bundle. In larger cities, the post offices are stuck with huge piles of mail for general delivery. And they have to figure out how they're supposed to distribute the mail. And it's not always easy to figure out what's the best way to do this. So to blame the homeless is kind of stupid. To blame the city itself is also kind of stupid. To blame both is being honest, because you have to look at it that way. The homeless do things that make the city pissed, but the city did things that started making the homeless do those things that makes the city get pissed. And of course the problem just derails on and on. Likewise, and like I said, the landlords don't want to rent to the homeless. Oh yes, by the way, real quick. Affordable housing, there is a kickback in it for developers. And we've seen this on Documentary Discovery in several cases where the property developers were taking these kickbacks to build this affordable housing. And then immediately, once the terms are up, bam, it becomes non-affordable housing, because that's when they can milk those tenants. Throw out the riffraff, your term is up. Now this is going to become medium to high income housing. And that's not right either. Section 8. Section 8's a boondoggle, it's a mess. It's not helping. Because the same developers are taking advantage of Section 8. It's what especially the program was on. Especially was on Section 8 and Section 8 abuses by landlords. That's sad. The truth is, if we don't fix this problem, because, for example, in Los Angeles, they have a huge problem, not only with human waste, refuse, rats, bubonic plague, typhus, 10 cities. Same thing with a lot of the West Coast and a lot of the East Coast. Even in Connecticut we have them. And the sad truth is unless somebody is willing to come up with a solution that helps everyone, the problem will continue to remain. And that's the sad truth. Okay, now I have one more thing to talk about, and it's pretty interesting. The YouTubers Union and YouTube have said that they're going to sit down at the negotiation table in Berlin, Germany. So this is Google Germany that's going to sit down with the YouTubers Union and IG Metall over the demands that the IG Metall and the YouTube have come up with. It just came out today, and it's going to be, right now it's still in its initial stage, but hopefully some positive changes will occur. Somebody asked me if we ever going to have a musical show, and the answer is, I don't think so. Not right now, because of the way the Digital Millennium Copyright Act is. If anyone has been contacting with your congressman and senator in the United States government, please tell him to change the Digital Millennium Copyright Act of 1996 to allow more flexibility for YouTube content creators to use music from copyright artists, including easier way to get the licensing. We need to do that. Alright? And I don't want to do any singing until then, because otherwise, if that music ends up getting used, it's going to be used in determine if I'm eligible for YPP. And at this point, I really, really want to get my YPP back. That's a YouTube partner program. And I will do everything I can to not go crazy. I've seen like some people running 2, 3, 4 ads right before the video. I think that's ridiculous. I will continue just to run the one before, no ads after the video. If I get back on YPP. I will make sure, even if I find out that I don't have control of the ads, as far as how many run, I will definitely be a little more than upset with that. But I hope that you will join me and FC if he's still going to be on. I think he said he will be for Friday or for Saturday's show on the live show. Also, I need to make sure we understand this too, that the live with Lemmy and Michelle will continue to be shared on all 4 platforms. The other show, which is live with, which is in kind of late night shows or evening shows, will still be a YouTube exclusive. If you are only watching the vlogs and the, actually this won't even be going up on, yeah, I will put this on my Facebook because it's so important. If you are watching the vlogs and the live with Lumi and Michelle on Facebook, you are missing out on 1/3 of the content, because of the fact is the late night with Michelle and Lumi, or late night with Michelle, will only be on YouTube. So you do need to subscribe, because if you don't, you will never get a chance to catch up with the show. It's up to you. You need to subscribe to the program and the content. So please do subscribe. It's really would be much better in your best interest to watch the show live. But just click the bell to receive the notifications. Ding, 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 ding. And then you'll know when we're on, and you won't miss anything. You need to subscribe anyway during the nighttime shows to leave comments, or even join us in the chats. As far as the phones, I have to be honest, some people ask me about that. The reason I don't really like doing the phones too much is because there's an issue with latency. Sometimes some of the people are getting the content, are getting the questions and stuff several milliseconds after they're proposed, and then somebody else is already ahead of me, and tripping me up and saying something else, and totally confusing me. The phones, of course, have the shortest latency, but at the same time, the Discord has the longest, and of course, so does Skype. So that tends to slow us down. But I do plan to have some phone calls on Saturday shows and some night shows. It's not going to be a regular thing, but we will have phone calls every so often. Alright guys, for now, that's it for the time being. I thank you for watching this. Stay out of trouble, everybody, and I'll see you real soon. Okay? Bye-bye.